This video is all about how to create a video where you are showing your hands and not your face. You're doing maybe packing, unpacking, you're doing making or creating, boxing is the word, wasn't it? Unboxing, shopping ideas, showing people your product range, all that kind of thing without showing your face, which is going to be very much sort of like flatly on a table or sideways on a table, something where you are showing what you are doing without showing your face. So the video that doesn't have your face on it, it's all about a bit of movement. It could be that your video, it might as well be a photograph, but you've got a thing going on, so it might be a candle flickering, you might have a fan on, so there's a slight breeze. It might be that you move the camera around a bit, or you get your hands in there and or something else and point at things or prod things or move things in some way. But movement is really important, otherwise people are going to be like, what am I watching this for? This is really boring. So try to think of ways to make it interesting. It's about good lighting, it's about good audio, which might be your voice or it might be some music over the top or whatever, but just think about how you can make that video as interesting as possible so that people aren't thinking this is a really dull video. You can, of course, take all the things that we looked at from the face-to-face video and just make your tripod a lot smaller so that people can't see your face. That's better. And then you can do the recording and you can still see part of you, but your things are going to be in the way. So I'll be talking about a book, for example, and you can talk about your thing and you'll be in the background, which will be needed because you've got hands and you're going to be using those to show people the things that you have, But again, you can sort of put some props around. If you really wanted to, then you could get something that you put in the background, so you could have some kind of board or something, and then you could just talk about stuff like by propping it in front of the thing that you have so that people can't see you, so you've made like a background if you wanted to do that. A bit like sort of going into a box, going over the top. Or you can do the flat laid up sort of video where you are looking directly down. People can only see that. So the other thing that you can do, because you don't want to have your face in the video, is that you can video across a display or some shelf, so whatever it is, so just like this, but maybe slowing down and talking about things a bit more. So in this case, imagine you've got loads of different products on here, but you could be talking, you've got your background, you'll have your phone in a tripod, which I currently don't, but it would help it stay still, unless you want to move it along, which is useful. You could go, I've got this book and I've got this book and this one's really good, and maybe get your hands in and point at things a little bit. But then you could also, have your phone on a tripod, and then you could put the product in front on the phone and just start talking about it. But it would be helpful to have a bit of movement going on. So that movement could either be the phone moving around the item, if that works really well, or you actually picking it up. So maybe you could use this perfume bottle instead, picking it up and showing people and saying, oh, there's this, look at this, stopper, whatever, and telling them about it, getting that sort of movement in the frame, because otherwise it might as well just be a photograph. You want to make sure that you are adding a bit of movement, making it a bit interesting. You can also put your finger on the phone to make things go a bit sharper. If it's just a bit blurry, you just tap on the phone screen, and at least certainly with an iPhone, and it fixes that problem. So on tripod, there's loads of tripods, they're all very similar. This is the best one I've ever had, and this one's actually particularly good because you can bend it that way. And I think if you're going to do stuff where you're recording on top of a table, which I'm going to be doing really soon, it's really good for that, because then you can put the phone in the tripod and look at the table, which is what it's doing now. And then you can you've kind of got that sorted, so it's really helpful to be able to do that. So I would say that this is a great tripod. I don't think it was very expensive, only 20 something pounds, because of being able to do that and record on top of the table and look down. But you can also pull it up to record that way, and if you've got two hands, it's a lot easier. You can spin it around, you can make it taller because this bit spins round and then the whole thing rises up. So yeah, just get a decent tripod. Right, I am going to do one of those videos where you are videoing what you are doing. So I won't, well, my hands will be in it, but the rest of me won't be in it. So I thought I would show you how I set that up. So I'm going to be doing some painting. I'm going to paint a wreath because Christmas is coming, and one of my clients needs a wreath for their brand to advertise Christmas things. So I've got everything ready for everything that I'm going to need. So I'm on my dining table. I've cleared my dining table, and I've got all the things that I need right here. I don't know why I moved the tripod, I could just move the things. So I've got my paintbrushes, I've got some kitchen towel, you can't paint with a kitchen towel. I've got a goo pud dish with some water in. This is a Yorkshire tea tin, is full of inks, because I might use some inks, I might use some paints, I'm not sure. I've got 2 different watercolour paint palettes. I really need to buy another one because they're both running out. And I've got some pens, which I possibly won't use, but I've got them anyway, because sometimes as well with this, I really only need these things. Well, not even those things, but those things. But it's not very pretty, is it? To just, you can't see them, to just have one paint palette and one paintbrush and some water and a kitchen towel. So I always get the lot out, because then I can have 2 paint palettes open. To be fair, I do often use both of them. I can have some ink spattered around if I want. I can add some pens, my paintbrush pot. So yeah, so I'll have like things around as sort of as props to make it all look prettier. For the bits when I'm going to video, because I'm not going to video the whole thing. Well, I might do, who knows. So I'm just going to move all of that back. And then I want to protect my table. So obviously it depends entirely on what you're videoing, on what your things are going to be, and on what you're going to need. But I protect the table. I do have a clear plastic mat, but I've recently got this back. I quite like this. So this is great because it's just a massive board. I can shove it on the table. It doesn't matter what I do to it. And it looks quite interesting as well, like around the edges with the colours. So I'm going to experiment with this today. This is my board and some paper. So I've got some paper and I need a pencil. Okay, so I have now got everything I need. The next thing to think about is, you know, all at the moment, this is just sort of plonked. So because I want to video it, I need to decide where I'm going to be. So I think I'm going to sit about here. And I'm going to have my paper, and then I need to have things around. So the first things that are around me are the things I'm actually going to use. So I've got my paint palettes, so I'm going to put these on the table. And then just got a couple of these. I might not need them, we'll see. I'm going to need my paint pot, put that here. So I am going to put my tripod up and sideways, so that I can do some videoing. And this is a bit tricky because obviously when it's over and I've got it attached, try and make it a bit straighter, you can see that the view is not very exciting. So I need to move it, because at the minute, as you can see, this tripod leg goes down there. I need it to go down the middle and between the legs so that I can get the legs flush with the table and make sure that the videoing is going on where I want it to go. And at the minute, it's quite close to the table. So I'm just going to raise it up a bit. Now, of course, you can see even more of my feet. So that's annoying. So what I need to do here is tilt the whole tripod. And if you could see that, I just undid these bits so that I'm now tilting the whole thing forwards. And there's another leg, this back leg on the tripod is sticking out a lot more. So that ultimately I'll be able to get just the desktop or tabletop or whatever in view, which means I'm going to have to change where I'm sitting slightly than where I thought I would. That's alright. So now I've fastened the clips on the tripod, and everything on the screen is just it's not my feet and not bits of tripod, so that's good. So I don't have to worry about editing those out later. So I'm going to move this along, and I'm going to think about where everything goes. Right, what we didn't discuss before we got to this point was lighting. So right now I've got the dining room light on, which is over there. But I also have a large IKEA lamp, which I could add even more light if I wanted it. Does it make enough difference? I think it probably does, actually. When I sit down, I've got my paints and everything, and I'm happy with how it's all set up. You can't see things that I don't want you to see. So it looks pretty. I would say I need to move it that way a little bit. That'll go so it's a little bit more sort of centered. Now, obviously, if you're doing your video the other way up, then you'll need to make sure you've got your phone and your tripod that way up, which is actually a bit more tricky, though I'm just balancing it on the top, and that seems to work fine. And then you would rearrange things slightly differently to take up a different sort of space and give you plenty of space to do whatever you're doing, sort of like in the middle. But I'm gonna do it this way around. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave that there. That's sort of above my head. I'm going to sit down. And then you can get on with whatever it is that you're doing. So right now, it's just video, and if it's high enough above the paper that I can do what I want to do without it getting in the way. The light is quite bright above my head. It's kind of annoying, actually, but I'm only going to be here briefly. And if I was going to be here longer, then maybe, or if it was something I was going to do a lot of, then maybe I'd get something like the key light off my desk, and I could clamp it on and I could put it over the top, which is something I've done on my desk before when I've been doing work on my desk, because that whole light there is like this, and then it can tilt like that, so you can have it shining down on your work surface. So that's quite good. Something like that might be better. I just happen to have this big IKEA lamp, which is really useful. So I use that. So I'm going to then just crack on with what I want to do. And you can see what's happening, and you can record this either in real time, which of course is what's happening right now, or you could do it as a time lapse, or if you're just going to record a little bit and you just want to show someone like the real detail of what you're doing, then you could do it in slow-mo. Or you could literally sit and record in real time. You could even do this as a live and just sit and record it in real time and talk like I'm doing now. Obviously, you'd have to know what you want to talk about. I don't want to just randomly natter on, but I mean, when I say that, it would be quite nice if the random talking was kind of just randomly nattering on. If you were just going, oh, did you see this on the telly? And last night I saw this. And then, you know, little interjections about what you were doing. And you could absolutely do that and just talk about what you're doing at the same time. And people will probably quite like that, because you're not going to be using watercolours and inks. You might be, it depends what you do. You're going to be doing something else. You might be using this space to mix something up in a bowl. In which case you probably need more space, and you probably need the camera to like go a bit more like that, so you can see more of what's going on your desk. So you have to think about like how much of this space you're going to use, because if you're going to use stuff over here and over here, then you want the angle to be different, or you might want the tripod to be higher up. So it's worth thinking about all of these things, and then you can just get on and do what you want to do. Think about as well where you might put words on the screen. So looking at this, I could have words maybe over here. That might be quite nice. So then if that's the case, if I put this back, then I can keep this bit empty. So it might be that I'm talking about things over here, and I'm doing, you know, blah, 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 paint and paint. But then it could be like a list of like the colours of watercolours you're going to need. It could be down this side of the screen. So a bit like, you could have sort of like an overlay. I don't expect that you get a bit of paper. What I mean is this would be like a block of colour that you'd add on the screen later, and then you could add text on it to say you're going to need whatever, and that would all be typed on the screen, and you can sort of get an idea for how the space is going to look and what space you need to leave in order to do that. Sometimes it requires a bit of planning up front. So this video is just the same as before, except that instead of recording looking down, this one is recording at an angle. So if your tripod doesn't go flat, then you can still record whatever you're doing over here without it being flat, because this is recorded so that it is straight up. And all I've done is, so this would be straight up if it was in a tripod, and all I've done is it's slightly looser and I've just angled it. So instead of being like this, it's like that, which means that you can see the table, but it isn't a flat lay, it's slightly different. So that's just a different way of doing it. If you do not have a tripod, or if you just have a tripod that doesn't do the flippy thing, I definitely didn't have one when I used to do my paper cutting business. I used to just put the tripod really low down here, so it was sort of videoing sort of sideways. Or you can do all kinds of crazy things with things you've got lying around the house. So there's this tin here. If you pretend for a minute this is a phone, you could balance it so that the video part of the phone is sticking over the edge of the tin, and you could arrange it so that it's videoing like that. And that, obviously that's not a great example because it's flying down, which is what I've got around, but you'll be able to do something. You can get something like build a structure with Lego. I think I used to get the kids Lego boxes. I'd have one on each side, and I'd have like a big, maybe a bit of wood or something arranged across the top, and then I would put my phone over it. So just because you only need the video part to hang over the edge, most of the phone is going to be on some sort of structure. So I used to have it sort of hanging like that so that the video part was over the edge. But I had this, it was crazy, this huge structure just so I could video what I was doing. And it wasn't hard to put together. I just really like 2 boxes and a bit of wood. So I think actually the kids had a wooden chair as well, and I used that later on. And it was just like a kid's wooden chair, and I could stand it on the table. I could do it with a bench, couldn't you? So say I got my bench, and I could put that on the table, and I could hang my phone on the edge of it so that it is videoing down there. That will also work. There is no reason why you can't do that. No one will know that's what you're doing, and if they do, so what? It doesn't matter. You can get boxes, you can get piles of books, you can do whatever you need to do to make it work. Now, the problem with this would be these legs, so you'd want to do it sort of more in the middle, so you don't have to worry about getting the legs in the shot, which would also give you more space. So it's just about being creative with the space that you've got. This video is me recording with my phone on the bench. So right now I've got the bench top, and I'm just plopping it on there and hanging it so that the video is over the edge, and you can obviously lean it out a bit further if you want to, but you've got to be careful of balance. Or you can have it a bit further in, and you can't see the legs, you can't see anything except maybe what you'd wanted to see. Now it is obviously upside down, it's upside down to me, but you can flip things around in Canva or on your phone or whatever anyway, so that isn't an issue. And then you can record you painting away. I'll sit back down again and do some more berries, and it can see what you're doing, and actually it feels really sturdy because it's just a bench. You could do it with a chair, you could do it with anything, and it would work really, really well. So that is another way that you can record your video, and you don't even need a tripod for that. So the other thing with this is this sort of flat lay video of your hands thing. You don't have to do it just for making videos. You could easily switch everything out and use it for the other kind of videos that you will mention that you needed videos of. So you could have whatever space you want down here, make it look nice, and then you could start to show things. So you could say, for example, oh, I've got these pens, you can buy these pens, and you can get the pens out of the packet, and you can talk about them, and all of the things that you want to do. For example, talk about your product, and it's still going to be a really good view. I'm actually standing up to do this as well, which is weird. You can sit down and be further away. Yeah, and then you can talk about it within the space. The important thing here, of course, because you can't see the camera when you're recording like this, is to know exactly where the space is. So if I stand up, I can see that people are going to be able to see from here to here. And maybe what you could do is get a sheet of paper and just place it slightly out of shot, and you will know that the edge is roughly where that bit of paper is, and do the same on the other side, so that you know when you are doing this sort of thing. There we are, that is the space you've got to work with. And I know I can go as far up as here, which is quite far actually, and as far down as there. And then I could just put things. So I've got a pencil here, and I can put the pencil down. There's no way I'm going to be doing anything up there. And I can just talk about whatever I want to talk about in this space. Talk about the paint palette, the other paint palette, and just share them, talk about them. And then when you are going to share this video, you can either share it like this, where you're just talking about it, or you could flash things up like a price, or you could have a URL along the bottom of the video to show people where they can go to get it. And you can obviously have links around the video, all that kind of thing. And because this would be more of a product video rather than a making video, the props are even more important, because you don't want to detract from your items, which you're going to bring far away and close up to the camera, which is easier when you're standing up because you can see. But yeah, so you can have that, but you can also, you know, you want to have something sort of gentle. You might not feel that that's appropriate to your brand, but if you do, then you know you've got some space here, you've got some space here. You could maybe even have a business card or something with your logo on it somewhere around the edge, just to get your brand across and also get the theme of what it is that you're doing across. Yeah, and then you can talk about things. So that's another way you can do that, and that works perfectly for things like packing and unboxing as well. So I've got this tin of ink. So imagine this is a box and you're unboxing it. Then you could open it, and then people can see everything. But often when you're unboxing, you see things at the top, and then there's other things below, so things are revealed. So you would take the first thing out, and you don't have to show them what's underneath it, because you can lift it right up close to the camera, and I'm standing so I can see. And it's just also quite important, because if you bring it too close, as you can see, it gets fuzzy, so you need to find the sweet spot. And then you can show people, you know, the detail of whatever the item is, and the stuff in the background automatically goes blurry, which is really handy. And then you can show people that and you can hold it with one hand while you cover up the next thing and put that down, and then lift up the next one so that they can't see what's coming, and then that's going to be more of a surprise for them. And then of course packing is exactly the same. You are just putting the stuff in the box, you are packing everything up. It doesn't matter if they see what's in there, because they've already seen it, because you've seen you put everything in. You might put business cards or whatever. Close the box, seal the box, stick your stickers on, whatever it is you want to do, and then you can, like, that's going to go off wherever, move it to one side, you're done. That's a great way to do a video. So these are really easy videos to do because you're not in them. You don't have to, you can do it in your pajamas and slippers and no makeup and horrendous hair and, you know, with atopic eczema, and nobody would know, and it would not matter in the slightest. You wouldn't have to worry about that. So it's really great to be able to do things like this where you're just using your hands. But it is quite important to have movement, because as you can see, this is a bit dull when nothing is happening on the screen. And all you can see is this tin of Yorkshire tea. But once I start putting my hands in and even just patting things a little bit, but moving things around and showing you different angles, it gets way more interesting, doesn't it? So bear that in mind, because you don't want people who are watching the video and think, this is a thrilling video of a tin and someone's talking over the top. Then that might as well be a photograph. So think about how you can make sure you're adding movement in as much as possible. Like my hands here, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot. Just something where something is happening so that people are engaged with the video and they're excited to see what's going to come next. Oh, I think this used to belong to my grandma. Crazy, isn't it? Little interjections like that, also very handy. So that's it. Videos, flat lace type videos, videos with your hands where people can see what's going on. Done. It really is, I would say, mostly about getting the right tripod so that you can angle it in the ways that you want to angle it so that it works best for you in your space. And I think the other thing that's important is lighting. So obviously I've got this massive light from IKEA, which we've had for such a long time now, very wobbly. That is obviously really great, it makes a big difference. We've got the ceiling light on, and if I turn it off, you can see the difference that it makes. So it's about thinking about that. Obviously natural light is really good. And if you've got the lights, other kinds of lights, like the box lights or the key light, or you've bought some lights, then you can arrange them around as well. The key thing here really is that everyone starts somewhere, and there are different ways to do this so that it works, so that you can just get your hands in the frame doing whatever it is that you're doing. And it doesn't always have to be flat, it can be at an angle so that you're sort of seeing a little bit further down the table, whatever you like. But think about your space, think about your lighting, find a way to firmly attach your phone to something so that you can video what's going on, and just crack on with it and then see what happens, because actually the best thing to do is to do it and to practice. And your first few videos, you're going to learn things, so the next time you know what you're doing and you're going to do an even better job. If you have any more questions about recording video like this, maybe you want to share your workspace, share your ideas, share some thoughts on how you can make sure that things can be seen really well, please just pop into the group, share your videos, share your photos, come and ask questions, and we'll get you sorted out so that you are recording your hands doing things as well, which is also a really great way to do packing and unboxing videos and showing products. It doesn't have to be a making video. You can do this any way you like.